Hey, what's up, everybody? Teddy Jasper, CEO and owner of Shadow Tequila. Just want to send a huge thank you and appreciation for everybody that shared, like, comment on my previous video. Just gonna to let you know the reality of how much money does it really take to get started in the spirits industry, tequila specifically. I do want to put out a disclaimer. I am not an accountant, a CPA, a lawyer. Do not consider this any legal advice. This is just based on my experience. I started this research back in 2018, and it took me up to 2023 to actually launch. Just take the information, whether you consider it valuable or use it as a starting point or as an anchor as you go out. And I encourage you to do your own research. And just looking back at my experience and everything I went through, all the extensive research that I did, all 2015 founders that I've spoken to over the years, I broke it down to three buckets. You have brand development, you have inventory, like the initial inventory you'll need to prepare for launch. And then you have the brand activation and the marketing of that said inventory that you're going to utilize to actually penetrate the market and launch your new tequila brand. I want to be extremely clear. I'm talking to the average American, anyone that makes between 30K and we'll say 200K a year, of what the realistic expectation is. If you consider yourself wealthy, keep scrolling. This is not your problem. However, this is a business, and this will not be a $5,000 project that you're just calmly looking into or as a potential hobby. Once you get started, it does take an extensive amount of capital. So now I'll talk about that today. Starting with brand development, you should be prepared to spend somewhere between like minimum 35,000 to $75,000 just for the development of that said brand. So as far as attorneys and legal fees to even get started in this industry officially, as for trademarking, you'll need to sign a co-packing, co-linking agreement with any distillery that you decide to work with moving forward. And I'll also go through that process in a separate video. You have to decide what is going to be the design of your bottle and label, what's going to be the name. Some of those things are light lift if you have a creative mind, but there's over 2,000 brands that you're going to be immediately competing against that people have been buying since they were of age to legally buy alcohol, whether it's tequila, whiskey, bourbon, vodka, and any spirit or wine. Now, with it being extremely competitive, you're going to have to get it right the first time. Don't take the cheapest route. The cheapest route doesn't necessarily mean you're saving money. You're going to end up spending more money along the way if you do not have something that resonates with the people. Why should people go to your brand on the shelf? Does your brand stick out on the shelf? And those who have been following me from the beginning, when I first announced Shadow Tequila, we had a completely different label and bottle. So there's a lot of money lost just on that design at least. However, though the market supported the vision of it, you have to think beyond just what the initial support is going to be. Just be prepared to spend upwards $75,000. I've seen most brands spend over 100 to 150, $200,000 just on a development aspect because they're working with a marketing firm, a creative design firm. Because outside of your story, those that have not heard your story before, they need to be able to take a look. Oh, what is that brand on the shelf right there? And that's enough for them to initiate somewhat of a curiosity, right? If you're not there to do a tasting, sampling, or your website's not visible, why should they buy from you? So next we have inventory. So inventory, most distilleries, they require a minimum quantity that you have to purchase. There's very few that will allow for no minimums. However, they won't even prioritize your project over the other. If you just come out and say, I need 100 to 200 cases. I know that was the case for a couple of distilleries out there. However, I do believe that they're now re-implementing a minimum order quantity due to the vast increase in volume that they're seeing as a supplier partner. So I'll just stick with the minimum of 500 cases. And assuming that you opt in to do the six packs, 500 cases is around 3,000 bottles. You do 500 times six. I'm not a mathematician here. So if you start on the low end, you also have to take into consideration of the markets that you're going to launch into. So personally would suggest anyone was to choose 1 to 2 markets max for their initial rollout of their brand, because though you may have family and friends that share your posts and encourage you to move forward, however, there's no guarantee this product is going to work. So you not only have to be mindful of the brand development and purchasing the initial inventory, but you have to be ready and prepared to just lose every dime and never make that back the day you decide to get into this industry where you're deep into the game like me and I'm still brand new. Or if you're just starting out and you finally get to the inventory portion, your marketing plan be one hell of a marketing plan. So let's say, for instance, you're looking to start in 2 markets, right? And those 2 markets could be within the same state. However, you may have connections in multiple cities, similar to I do, with Memphis being my hometown and me spending 14 years in Nashville myself. So I decided to focus on those 2 major markets in the state of Tennessee and eventually expand out. So with that, you can split it, right? So in your hometown, which is hopefully you're launching in your hometown first, I'd allocate a majority of those 500 cases to your hometown. Should everything go good, are you prepared to purchase an additional 500 cases nearly immediately without seeing any of that money back? So if you think of excise tax, which averages around $12.81 per case, you're looking at a cost that could get up to, for tequila, between 7 and 25 $32 a bottle, depending on the expression: Blanco, Reposado, Añejo, Extra Añejo, Cristalino, Mezcal, so on and so forth. So it can get extremely expensive. You can be looking at somewhere between 40 to $80,000 needed just for inventory. So if you think of 50 to 75,000 for brand development, you're looking at 40 to 75, 40 to $80,000 just for inventory. Should everything go good, fingers crossed that it does, you have to be prepared to reorder that minimum quantity, right? So having an additional 40 to 50 grand just prepared to spend at any time for inventory as you're running out. In this industry, they do net 30s, 45s, and 60s, depending on what distributor you're working with. But that being said, should you go well within the first couple of months, your turnaround time for that next order is going to take 2 months, right? Yes, you sold out. However, that's a missed sale. If you have no product available for customers to purchase, you have no more money to make. So you have to be ready to spend that money that you are currently waiting on to be paid out by a distributor while you're preparing for number 3, marketing. So your brand activation and your initial rollout and launch of that inventory that you just spent 40 to $80,000 on. And this is the low end, by the way, everybody. This is a 500 case volume that we're talking between 500 and 750 cases, right? So they can get upwards of 100 to $150,000 just for inventory. So brand activation. I know on social media we love to bash, we as in y'all love to bash family, friends, associates, cousins, whomever, for not liking, sharing your post. However, liking, likes and shares, though it boosts engagement and awareness of the brand, it does not equal dollar signs. It does not guarantee that they're going to buy or purchase a bottle from you. So you need an actual strategy if you are considering trying to be competitive in this market, especially competing with the likes of Shadow Tequila, of course. But competing with the multi-billion-dollar company is going to actually drown you out with their marketing budget on a daily basis. Just initial rollout and launch per week. I have a rule of thumb: you have to be prepared to spend ten to $20,000 per month per market, and that's for the first 4 months. And if we stick to the low end with $10,000 a month, mindful, you have to be ready to reorder your inventory at any time, as well as you're paying your lawyers, you're paying just for everything that comes up. You still have your personal bills, right? Because we're the average working American. We need this available to us, right? We need the capital available. So on the initial rollout, I rolled out with MTSU's homecoming, right? I feel that I've grown a big enough relationship with my college and friends from college. I consider them family now, that we were able to do a series of events that were surrounded or immersed within Shadow Tequila. And our motto is crafted for connections with you every step of the way. So that resonated with that community. What works for one may not work for all. So if you're going to go the event route, you have to be prepared to spend between ten to $20,000 per month per market in order to launch these events. You need to hire people to help you work the events. You can't do it all alone. And that's where a lot of people think I'll just do all of that on my own. And I can tell you now, you need a strong team and support system behind you to be able to put a scratch in this industry. So be mindful of that. So if you want people to be able to taste your brand, you're going to do a shit ton of samplings and tastings, which is free product given away. So this lost revenue. You have to hire people for events and to assist with these tastings. Yes, family may volunteer here and there, but after a while, an obligation comes with that volunteering. They either want you to sponsor an event that they have they have coming up, a wedding, a graduation, work anniversary, vacation, whatever case it may be. You still have to look at that as lost revenue. You have to curate product images. So if you look on Shadow Tequilas, whether our website or social media, we take our brand image extremely serious. If you want to compete with the giants in this industry, you have to be ready to get even close to the type of quality of imagery or videography that you're putting out to market. It's not as simple as posting, praying, and hoping someone sees it to go make a purchase or to go to the liquor store. You have to be top of mind for everybody. Just keep that in mind. And that could be extremely expensive in the food and beverage industry. For photography, you're looking around, I'll say $400 to $500 a picture. And if it's not a picture, if you're not working with a major photography studio, you're still looking somewhere around $400 to $1,000 a session for only a couple of hours. So if you're not creative enough to get those types of shots and you're not working with a beginner in the food and bev space, you still have to be prepared for continuous content. Content gets extremely old very fucking fast. Now you need branded products. I don't know, t-shirts, cups, hats, and all of that comes at a cost. These are things you don't have to do. These are things that I do everywhere I go. I make sure I have a Shadow Tequila logo on it. I'm a walking billboard for my own company. You have to be these days, but you want to raise eyebrows. What is that? What is this brand that I came across on social media? What is this brand on that I'm seeing on the shelf? For those that don't know who you are, most people don't know who the hell I am, but I can guarantee you they know who Shadow Tequila is, right? Just wanted to give that introductory into the amount of capital you truly need to even consider. I wouldn't even say have unless you just got many of the connections to 7, 8 figure earners that's able to contribute to your vision, which another story for another day. I'll tell you how I was able to find a couple of business partners along the way. A few announcements on the way as well. But we started out self-funded. I completely drained my savings account and my 401k because I believed in my vision. I believe I've done enough research to be able to execute this plan. And we've sold through every single bottle case that we've started with. And we're actually struggling to keep up with the demand. Just a little pat on the back for myself. All in all, you need to be prepared to spend a minimum $200,000. You need to be mindful that if I want to be successful, compete against the major giants such as the Casamigo, I'm gonna continue to say, "God, I fucking hate Casamigo." Delete that. I'm going to continue to say Casamigo, Don Julio, Jose Cuervo, Espelon, because that's who's selling inside of these establishments. And Shadow Tequila, let's not forget that. I'm gonna keep throwing it out there, but you need to be prepared. $200,000 to get you in the door just to launch the fucking brand, right? That's not the continuous working capital that you'll need to keep the brand going, right? It's from a marketing perspective, taxes, hiring a team, social media, and if you're even looking to launch in multiple markets, but you shouldn't even be looking at any market outside of your home state before you've ensured that everyone is asking for Shadow Tequila. But that's all for this one. Another Yap session for you. But I hope this was valuable. I'll go into more detail of the actual process of getting started, how I actually spent my money. But I wanted to let you all know this is not a hobby that you can just wake up and say, I want to start a tequila brand. If you have just $200,000 laying around, I say go for it. It's extremely competitive, but I'm extremely competitive. I'm always here to help. Feel free to drop your questions, comments below. Be sure to follow us on social media, Shadow Tequila on all platforms: X, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Follow my personal page on Instagram, T_Jasper. The YouTube link you can find in my bio if you're on Instagram and Facebook. And share and comment, and peace.